She's loud, angry, and doesn't play by their rules. She will never be your old school black Republican. But look at their record. Why would you want her to be? She is Sonnie Johnson, and this is Did She Say That?
Welcome to Did She Say That, a Breitbart podcast on Podcast One. I am your host, the very loud, but rarely wrong, Sonnie Johnson. And for the purpose of this podcast, I feel like I need to put on a freakum dress. You know, maybe throw on some high heels, maybe add just a little bit of makeup so I can humbly give you a diva, did she say that moment for your ass when I say Milo Yiannopoulos is in the motherfucking building. Like I said, we got a really big team and we like some really big things. So subscribe to the podcast, people. Give your girl a 5-star rating. Hit me up on social media at Sonnie Johnson. That's SONNIE. If you put a Y, you're being a dick. Read Breitbart.com and make sure you're an informed voter, and we should get along just fine. Now, usually this is where we mix some conservative intellect with hip-hop culture. Today, we're going to mix some fabulous Milo with a little sunny goody goodness and a sprinkle of eye candy named Javonni on top. Now, in the freaky-ass world of the internet's supervillain Nero, that description would take on a certain imagery. And I don't think that this man would have it any other way. What the fuck is up, Milo?
Sonnie, thank you for having me so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, it is a tradition on my show that first visit, you get to introduce yourself and choose topic of discussion. But since we don't get to celebrate white success in America anymore, trumpets, please. This is the 15th Did She Say That podcast, and you are the first non-melanin guest. I know you must feel some kind of pride in that accomplishment.
I don't know. I mean, I have some black in me. I mean, I'm not I'm not completely white. I think you might need to try again.
Look, I had to set you up. What fun would it be if I didn't?
It's too easy.
Of course, but that's the low-hanging fruit. We got a whole hour, babe.
The low-hanging fruit is the most delicious.
Now, I know that you love the spotlight and shit.
That's a horrible allegation. I don't know why you would say that about me.
You're used to your white privilege and shit.
Oh, please.
But, this is my show, so I'm going to steal it from you like your ancestors stole my ancestor.
Oh, my goodness.
Look, I've been practicing trying to say that straight, and I could not get it right. I was really practicing. Look, I got more for you. Hold on.
Wow. All right, let's hear it.
Then I'm going to throw a black girl tantrum, teach you some black history, school you on your white privilege, and then I'll let you steal it back like you do everything else via cultural appropriation. I would ask if you're cool with that, but then that would reveal your white supremacy and my need of approval from your white benevolence. Have I hurt your head yet? Do you not know how fucking hard I laughed while I even thought that shit up? But anyway, okay, let me go into my rant. The real Frederick Douglass.
You're literally the best person I know. I'm sorry, carry on.
The real Frederick Douglass. Okay, everybody knows I'm no longer in the mood to hear Republicans call themselves the party of Lincoln. Every day of the week and twice on Tuesdays, Republicans are the party of Reagan. Reagan did this. I voted for Reagan twice. Reaganomics, tear down this wall. But when Republicans are called racist, all of a sudden we become the party of Lincoln. Republicans hate blacks. We fought to end slavery. Republicans want to put y'all back in chains. We voted for every piece of civil rights legislation included in the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Yes, Republicans. Yes, you stopped being the party of Lincoln and started being the party of Reagan. How can I state this clearly? Republicans only use their black historical ties as weaponry aimed at Democrats. All the examples I could use, but I keep using the same one so the shit can sink the fuck in. Negro History Week started to celebrate the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. Started to not only celebrate Black history, but also our shared history. What we could do if we work together. We could save a nation. That's Republican history. That's using our history as a purpose, not a fucking weapon. You use it as a shield. Instead of using it to bring your opposition to your side with something worth fighting for. Now, for a second, I'm going to let you hold on to Lincoln. Matter of fact, I want you to reattach yourself to that man at that time, because I'm going to reattach myself to Frederick Douglass. Now, I'm born into slavery, had kind of easy living up north, caught hell when I was shipped down south. One day I said, fuck it. Overseer is a man and I'm a man. He's not going to break me. So I fight back and I break his ass and I decide I am not fit to be anybody's slave. So I escape slavery. Now, I'm fresh off the plantation. Pay close fucking attention to this part. I talk like a slave. I have the reference points of a slave. I have the experience, scars, and bruises of a slave. I have the possessions of a slave. And if I get caught, I have the same protections of a slave. When I started giving speeches, I did not sound like Clarence Thomas. When I started writing, I wasn't eloquent like Thomas Sowell. When I wasn't sharply dressed like Allen West. And everybody told me that I should improve my speech. I should study more before putting word to page. And they thought my shoddy appearance would turn off the white crowds who expected men of influence to dress with higher standards. But I spoke with the voice that I had. I wrote with the words that I knew, and I dressed with the clothes in my possession. History and motherfucking context. What set Frederick Douglass apart from others doing that part of history, he didn't give a fuck if you thought him stupid. He opened his mouth and he proved you wrong. The Confederates wanted to keep slavery. He didn't challenge their mindset. He challenged the mindset of the people who knew slavery was wrong and sat by and did nothing. Republicans, can you hear me? You celebrate Independence Day, but what is the 4th of July to the Negro? And when it came time to fight, he said, let blacks fight for their freedom. Yet again, pay close fucking attention. They know the land. They know how to talk to the people. And who has a greater cause to fight than those that live under slavery's oppression? Learn from history, damn it. The black people that are going to break the stranglehold of progressivism over the black community will not speak like Clarence Thomas, write like Thomas Sowell, or dress like Allen West. It's nothing wrong with these men. Don't get me wrong. There's just something about that single individual that bears the scars. We don't care if you think we're stupid, ghetto, animals. Shit, we've been called worse by better people. We just open our mouths and we prove you wrong. Now imagine if Lincoln would have treated Douglass like most Republicans treat blacks that are in pre-packaged and pre-assembled with replaceable parts. What do you think about that, Milo?
That was remarkable. One of your great insights, which I don't hear very often from other black conservatives, is a really powerful critique of Republicans and the way in which Republicans have done a very bad job of speaking to and for black people authentically. I mean, you can't blame the black community, and you can't either place at credit entirely the Democrats with the extraordinary numbers of blacks who vote for them. You have to blame the Republicans at some point. You have to hold the GOP to account, I think. And your analysis is, as I've heard it, on various occasions, is basically right. And I think the same thing holds for gays too, don't you?
I totally agree when it as it pertains to gay Americans. I don't think that breaking it up in groups, the only reason that I do it is because I'm trying to talk to my community because nobody else does. And I'm trying to talk for my community because I don't hear anyone who is objectively putting our arguments out there. So that's why when I see people like you speaking out for gay rights, I cheer you rather than jumping in the conversation. And I do the same thing for kind of other subgroups when it comes to the Second Amendment. My zone, my lane is my community, because I think that once you solve the progressive disease within the Black community, then you can start solving the progressive cancer that is in America. But you have to start with where they planted their seed. And the first place they planted their poverty and destruction was in the Black community. So I think it needs to be uprooted from there. And that's why I keep my focus so, straight point.
I mean, this is the great promise of Donald Trump, isn't it? This is the great hope for him, because, he could, by some metrics, be the first properly Black president. I mean, Obama's done it. Well, no, I believe this. I mean, people always laugh at me when I say this. I think it's true. Obama's done less than nothing for Blacks. Like, he's literally been the worst possible imaginable president for Blacks, with the exception maybe of Hillary Clinton, or Bill. I mean, these people are terrible for race relations, terrible for, the living standards and opportunities of average Black people in America.
Here's the rub with that. And this is I don't disagree with you, but here's the problem with that. When I grew up, I didn't know the name of Barack Obama. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't, foresee him coming, but I knew poverty. I knew death. I knew destruction. So when we frame that argument around Obama, why it is so ineffective is because we're talking about generational poverty. So they're like, okay, my grandmother was poor. How did Barack Obama cause my grandmother's poverty? And that's why it's so hard when we frame that argument around him. If you've been in a generational shit, those people don't want to see it laid at the feet of Barack Obama because they've seen it their entire lifetime.
Of course, but you have to start fixing the problem somewhere. And you don't fix the problem by encouraging people to wallow in grievance and victimhood. You don't fix the problem by, pandering to the worst elements of grievance culture, and not instead encouraging people to take part in the American dream and take part in public life and have aspiration and drive and determination and to be held to account for bad decision making and rewarded for good. Now, replacing the absent Black father with the state, which is what the Democrats want to do, providing a huge federal government that will do all of the things that a father figure should, is just keeping people down, keeping people poor, robbing them of the tools that they need to aspire and to achieve and to accomplish anything. And this is why I like Trump for Blacks. Because, we had a conversation about this in Washington a few months ago, and you said, I see Trump on the plane. I see Trump, and I want that. I want my name on a building one day. Doesn't everyone? And it's that aspiration, his sort of unashamed celebration of his own wealth and success, which I think Black people can relate to because they have that in their own iconography. They have that with Jay-Z. They have that with Kanye. They have that with, well, maybe most of Kanye's fans are probably white, I think. But
I'm a Kanye. I fucks with Kanye. I have to admit that. I fucks with Kanye.
I never met a Black person who's like a Kanye mega fan. I mean, I met plenty of Tiger, Lil Wayne,
yeah, we still want to give him credit from graduation day because we still want to give him credit because that shit still bang hard. It's still bang hard. You put it.
It does, but no, he's for white people. He's like Drake. He does a really good job of being Black. No, but I mean, if you like, what would Jay-Z do if he was a property developer? He'd have buildings exactly like Trump's.
Most definitely, and that's what you hear Jay say. I repeat that all the time. Jay will be like, "I'm at the Trump International. Ask for me." He knows it. He equates it with luxury, and he gives Donald Trump kind of that stamp of approval. And I'm waiting for the first one to have the balls to come out. You had Ice Cube kind of flirt with the idea of trying to explain the appeal of Trump.
He got scared off, didn't he? He got scared off. They bullied him for being quiet.
I don't think so. I think he sees the money side of it now, and they tried to scare him before when he switched over from being gangster to doing the family, friendly movies. Then they were like, "Oh, you lost something. You ain't a nigga no more. This, that, and the other." And he was like, "Fuck you. I'm getting this money." When they were crying about Oscar so white, he was like, "Fuck you. Pay me." And I think that attitude is being shown. And I thought about this, and I'm going to expand on it in another show. But one of the I passed this Ayn Rand quote, and it says one of the best principles of America is they kind of came up with and coined the term of making money. The idea that it wasn't inherited, it wasn't gifted, it wasn't stolen or looted, that it was actually meant to be made and to be grown.
You don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. And this is the problem, you know, with so many people who grow up in underprivileged circumstances. They're never educated about economics and entrepreneurship and the economy.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, we are. But we get our education from hip hop. We learned you build and you stack. We learned basic principles. My very first economic lesson was when Jay-Z said, your single was 99 cents and mine was $4. And I had to stop and think for a minute.
You got it, but your peers didn't, right? Like most of that community is not getting the message.
It's not hitting. We get it. But what is not attached to it is we have the cultural being of making money. What we don't have is the intellectual attachment that is capitalism. And that is what the GOP has refused to do. Okay, we're going to stop because we're going to bring Javonni in. My listeners would like string my neck if Javonni's presence isn't felt. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump right back in with more Milo and Javonni. Did she say that? Sonnie Johnson. Be right back. Pricing information is great and necessary, but there's more to car buying than just price. There's the actual buying experience. And to enjoy a better one, you have to go to a TrueCar certified dealer. They're there to help you find the car you want, and they're what makes TrueCar unique. With TrueCar, you can connect with a local certified dealer of your choosing so you can lock in guaranteed savings off MSRP and enjoy a better buying experience. TrueCar customers are more likely to enjoy a faster buying process when they connect with TrueCar certified dealers. Over 2 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network, and there are over 11,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. You will work directly with a TrueCar certified dealer contact, and TrueCar users save an average of $3,279 off MSRP. And using the TrueCar website or the TrueCar app, you can easily find the car that you want. So when you're ready to buy, new or used, visit TrueCar.com or download TrueCar app to enjoy a better car buying experience. Some features are not available in all states.
Now let's get back to the swagger. Did she say that? Here again is Sonnie Johnson.
Welcome back to Did She Say That podcast. I am Sonnie Johnson. I could not keep you. Javonni, here he is.
What's up, Sonnie?
Milo is back.
Hi.
And as customary for the show, since Milo didn't get to do it in the first segment and he's a first-time guest, he gets pick of subject. So I'm almost fucking fearful to do this. Milo, the floor is yours.
Well, in the break, I was just Googling Javonni, who I didn't know before, so I'd quite like to talk about those abs. But let's move on. Let us instead talk about, you know, an interesting thing I noticed this morning. Black Lives Matter has opted out of taking part in the San Francisco Pride Parade. And they say it's because the increased police presence makes everybody less safe. The suspicion online is that, well, I saw a joke. It's like, is it because they've all got outstanding warrants for arrest? But that was mean. No, but I think it was probably because they just don't like sharing the stage with people, and they perhaps are aware that their usual attention-seeking theatrics might not go down well post-Orlando. But I find it interesting that the left's insistence on splitting us all into little groups sometimes works for them when those groups work together and move in unison and harmony, you know, the feminists with the ecologists or whatever. But it's starting to run aground in America. You're starting to get Black Lives Matter run up against gays against trannies, all the rest of it. And I wanted to know, because you two are better versed in racial politics than I am, where you see the problems coming up on the horizon. Because the left loves to divide us. It loves to put us all into buckets. And one of the reasons that people like me like Trump so much, one of the reasons is that we're worried about depression of black wages, and we're worried about the state of black communities, and uncontrolled illegal Hispanic immigration hits blacks among the hardest of anyone. And so, you know, there's this brewing war here between the minorities, in my view. I wrote a column about it last year called Minority Wars. You know, when when Hispanic mayors start coming in, because, it's going to be Hispanics that are filling a lot of the Democrat political positions through, affirmative action and whatever, they're not going to have the same kind of, if you like, white guilt about, sins of their forefathers. And they're going to start, in my view, policing those areas very, very heavily. And I don't know whether that's going to be a good or a bad thing. So I want to know what you guys think are going to be the effects on the black community in America in the next sort of 10 years of this atomization that the left has done, splitting everybody up into little groups, and the weird kind of like opting in and opting out of different communities that's happening. So Black Lives Matter is sort of shunning the gays this time because they realize they're going to be counterproductive. The left coalition is falling apart. So what's going to happen over the next 10 years?
Well, I think with Black Lives Matter, what they figured out was that they were being used. And I think that hurt their feelings. And I predicted this back in October. When the election was in full swing, the funding for Black Lives Matter would be pulled, and it would go towards issues that could be used to win the election. This is the dumb shit blacks need to understand, that if you say, I'm just going to give Hillary my vote, I'm not going to make her work for it, I'm not going to make her seek it out, she's not going to seek it out. That money is now being switched over to shore up on LGBT rights and so forth and so on in that community, because they already can count on a black vote. They have already said, we're going to get 90% of it, and it doesn't fucking matter. So they don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, because even if you go down to 80%, they still don't care. They could lose 20% black vote and it would still be fine.
No, here's what the important part. They have created a new radical army. This is the shit. I'm not looking at their black people, their puppets. I'm not looking at D-Ray, and I'm not looking at Netta. I'm looking at Van Jones. I'm looking at those motherfuckers that they are putting in power positions to move forward, who have buried their radical ends so they can clarify their radical means, which means they don't act like communists. They don't act like they're radical left-wing lunatics. They don't act like they're for that shit. They pretend. But they're gathering power, and they're consolidating it around this Occupy Wall Street. All it does is morph, and all it does is change, and all it does is grow position upon position. And I think that is what we're going to see this summer. All this army, this radical army that they have built for their American summer, they are going to send it after Donald Trump.
There were two good points there. The first, that Democrats consistently take the black vote for granted and don't work for it. And secondly, that there does seem to be this sort of sleeper army of very, very politically radical people. And DeRay running for mayor was sort of funny because we always knew he was going to fail catastrophically. But it reminded you to look around at who hadn't failed and who had, and who has made it. And, if Clinton does get in, if she does beat Trump, there's going to be a lot more of these appointees who are, who have these dark pasts of far left radical cultural Marxism and communism, don't you think?
Yes, and not even just that. More gun laws mean more niggas are going to get locked up. They're going to put stricter penalties on drug laws, and they're going to make sure more niggas are locked up. They have done it before. The Clintons have done it before when they held power.
It's not just incarceration rates. It's not just strengthening gun laws so more are in prison. More will be dead. I mean, more black people will be dead. I mean, nobody saved more black lives in America in the last, couple of decades than Rudy Giuliani, by policing properly. But it wasn't through stricter gun laws. It was by proper policing. Once you start tightening up the gun laws, people don't just end up in prison more, they end up dead.
Javonni, you better jump in because I overtalk.
So I just wanted to go back to the point about the Black Lives Matter opting out of the parade. I mean, the amount of time that they were receiving money is pretty much over. And I think that you mentioned in your last show, I think it was airing, Milo, it was airing a speech that you did, a school speech, about they know that they're not going to be around for much longer. I mean, it's pretty much it. And they're both a part of the Democrat Party. And it appears that, hey, we can't share the same stage. I mean, they have to have their time, and we'll hopefully come back later.
Who accepted those terms? Who the fuck is accepting the terms? Who is saying that is accept? Look, this is why it fucking infuriates me about black people. You have this time in fucking American history where we're saying make America great again. But we instinctively want to fucking separate ourselves from that shit like that doesn't include us. Like for one fucking second, can we realize we are a part of this bitch too? And while everybody else is becoming great again, it also becomes an opportunity for us to be fucking great again. But even with Donald Trump in that position, if we can't wake up to it, if we can't, do a better effective job of messaging than, the GOP before us, then what Bernie Sanders has planted in democratic socialism will not just come seeping out of America's colleges, it will also come seeping up out of America's ghettos. And right now you have black people in those ghettos craving for capitalism. They've just kind of been cut off because they're buried under all of this progressive nonsense and bullshit. Heavy taxation, heavy burden to the unions, heavy pensions for everybody and anybody who's ever worked in government before. All of that shit on top makes it virtually impossible for a young black nigga with nothing to pull himself up by his bootstraps. It becomes like an impossible fucking task. At some point, we have to clear the progressives out of that shit to actually give these entrepreneurs, this new generation, a chance to grow.
But look, they're selling votes with apathy, and then we can't talk about how the Democrats have a stronghold in the community if we're not there ourselves. And as I recall, Pat Robertson said a couple weeks ago that Democrats were so confused with Orlando because, I mean, there was a Muslim involved, there were gays involved, and both are they're two new picks for
sacred cows.
Yes. So he said they don't know which ones to pick on, so they decided to pick on guns. And the end result, he said that we should just leave them to kill each other off. Pretty much a harsh statement, but I feel like that's kind of what happened in
this is what the Democrats do to blacks. This is what the Democrats do to blacks. Rather than going in and building better schools and policing communities properly, they just leave them to kill each other.
Amen. Hey, man, that's like a motherfucking mic drop moment right there. And until blacks wake the fuck up and realize that shit, realize ain't no Republican in tights and a robe coming in to save your ass either. It is some self-determination shit. And you have to get past the point of crying about what the fuck happened yesteryear. You have the opportunity of a motherfucking lifetime ahead of us. If we as America actually get this burden off of us and we put our nose to the grindstone, especially as black people, do the shit you claim to do on Twitter. Because your ass always on Twitter telling me how you making money. You always on Twitter telling me how you grinding and stacking and how you got your paper right. Motherfucker, make that shit count. Right now, stocks are down. What should you be doing? What should you be doing if stocks are down right now?
You should be buying. Sounds like an opportunity to me.
Is that not some colorblind shit? But that's racist because you can't imply that black people should what? Put their money into some effective shit that will help them grow and leave legacies for their children?
No, they're systematically disenfranchised. How dare you ask them to do something? It's not fair. I have my list of reasons of why I can't. Because Obama told me so.
It is so amazing to me that how the Democrats treat you guys like children, Like you're not able or willing or even really should be trusted to make decisions for yourself so that, the state has to step in and fix all of that shit for you. And actually all it does is make it so, so much worse.
That's called progress. Like I ask them all the time, they say that they're progressive. What the fuck are they progressing towards? Because this shit don't look enticing to me. So you want to call me a sellout? Bitch, I see what's coming. I damn sure did sell out. I don't want no part of that shit. I don't want no part of begging somebody for what the fuck I can and cannot eat. I don't want no part of begging nobody where I can and cannot live. I don't want no part of begging me having to wait for a police officer to come up to my shit to feel protected. Like this whole bullshit you're progressing towards, where every single right we have as American citizens is giving up to make someone else's fucking feelings not be hurt. That's a fucking insult to my intellect and my fucking character, and that's some colorblind shit.
But what is the alternative? Try something different, vote Republican, and the only thing that keeps people from doing that, the one response is, they're racist. End of discussion. No policy needs to be discussed. That's it.
So how do you handle that one? How do you handle that one, Milo, when they call you racist? I know you get called racist.
I do, and I've never understood why. I can't get why anybody would call me racist. It's insane. I mean, because we're on a video call just now. I accidentally went home with a white person last night, but that's the first time in 9 months. I mean, I don't understand what people call me. Anyway, it's, this again, I'm going to keep bringing it back to Daddy. This is why I want Trump, because he is so completely radically different from every other Republican you've ever seen in your life on social issues. He's pro-black, he's pro-gay, he's pro-women, whatever the left says. And if people can get into their heads that somebody like Trump, who has their best interests at heart, could be a Republican, then
but
maybe
he isn't for blacks because he called someone an African American. That's the biggest insult ever. Apparently, that's what I learned this month. I can't deal with the language policing. It's just people are just too stupid. Sometimes people are just too stupid to even have a discussion. That was an incredibly stupid move, by the way. Oh, he called us an African American. Oh, lynch him.
Yeah. But this
lynch
is the thing.
Cheeto Jesus.
Somebody sees Trump, and I think Trump is the embodiment of the American, of the American dream, the American ideal. And I also think he's got something there's something quintessentially like that, the sort of diamond and silk black aspiration sort of thing. Yeah, I think Trump embodies that so well. And if black communities can get their head around the fact that Trump might love them, be good for them, and be a Republican, then maybe they'll start thinking, well, the local guy running for mayor is a Republican. He doesn't look so bad. This is it. And maybe we do it by putting Cubans in, because there's some great Cubans in Miami who are Republicans and who actually give a shit about blacks, unlike the Democrats. Maybe that's the way in. I don't know, but this is the great promise of Trump.
But the problem is, if with the current roster of the black GOP, I don't know if you know how I feel about them, but they gonna send me in a cardiac arrest one day, or actually get arrested one day. It's pretty hard to tell.
If anyone gets you arrested, Sonnie, I'm pretty sure it'll be Donald Scoggins, who you just called out last week.
I'm amazed he's not arrested every week.
But you can't send this generation. You cannot send that old school generation of black Republicans. Look, I am a conservative. Look, I said before Donald Trump ran, I said I would not run for office because...
You should run for office. I would vote for you.
I just say too much shit. And now I'm like, wait a minute.
As long as we're friends, I'm not going to allow that.
And now I'm like, as long as... If Donald Trump can fucking run, then hey, maybe I will run one day. But
that's what's great about America, and nobody understands this. I've come here from Europe where things are so stultifying, and you have to be born into such nice circumstances to have a shot at something.
You can't even have a nice toaster.
I'm seriously? No, honestly, I was fortunately born into the kind of circumstances where if I'd not been a crazy person like I am, I could have gone into politics and been prime minister, right? If I hadn't been a messed up like I am. But
there's nothing messed up about you.
I know I'm wonderful, but I can't keep my mouth shut. That's what I mean. But I was lucky enough to be born into those circumstances. But in America, anyone could be president. Literally anyone. Donald Trump could be the presumptive Republican. That's insane. It's so crazy that Donald Trump is running for.
And people are arguing. They're like, no, you have to be an attorney, and you have to have 30 years of Senate experience. So I was like, where?
Do people understand how amazing that is? Do people understand how amazing America is? That anyone can run for president, and And Donald Trump could be. That's wonderful. That's great. Anyway,
as
that's
you
why
said, he embodies the American dream, and that's the thing that I love about him. And I mean, you don't have to. Yes.
So, Sonnie,
Sonnie?
I'm gonna persuade you. I'm sorry, Javonni. I have to do this to you. I'm gonna spend the next 2 years persuading you to run for mayor of something.
You know, I've never ruled it out. I have always said no, but who knows? If the people want it,
Can you
supply
imagine?
and demand.
Can you imagine there's some fucking, like, some ridiculous situation, and then she gets up at a press conference and she's like, oh, no, and then gives us one of these. I just want to see the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Fox News with their jaws, like, on the floor as the new mayor of Baltimore just launches into it.
The only reason I got quiet on that is because I might surprise you. I might surprise you in that field. Milo, let me tell you how it works for me, okay? So I have been interviewed by New York Times, by CNN, by, people at Fox and shit. And they're like, before the interview and everything, they're like, oh, you're so awesome, and we this. We do the interview, we're going to put this on and this, and the interview never comes out. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Like 5 minutes ago, it was so fucking awesome. You have to call black slaves on a plantation. You have to have negative shit to say about black people, or you don't get airtime. If I can come in and I can talk about the success that is currently in the black community, I can talk about the moves we are making, the shit that we are actually doing, the areas where we are actually progressing, and like, just take Atlanta as the first thing because it instantly pops to mind. And the economics of commerce that we now have running out of Atlanta, both culturally and intellectually. You can't have that conversation with any Republican or any conservative because they don't want to hear that shit. They want to hear...
You need to be less Sonnie Johnson and more Jason Riley. I've told you this before. He's awesome at giving those points. Every time he is on television, I know exactly what he's going to say.
I can't say I fear for them. I fear for the youth in my community, even though I know that they can be persuaded to take a different route. I fucking fear for them. I can't say that because I'm supposed to be calling them thugs and animals. Like, I actually had to go in front of a Tea Party group and tell them, like, well, if you can call them monkeys, then you might as well call me a fucking monkey. And all of them looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. I'm like, do you not understand that I am no fucking different from them? It's just a matter of circumstance that got me here. So stop with the bullshit and the condescension because it's not fair for them to call you or Uncle Tom. So if a liberal, a social justice warrior calls a black conservative a Uncle Tom, then it's wrong. But a black conservative or Republican can call a black liberal or social justice warrior stuck on a Democrat plantation, and that's totally fucking acceptable. Well, all it is a slave calling a slave a slave. It's Mickey calling Minnie a mouse. All y'all doing is both calling each other niggas, basically, and we're getting nowhere in the conversation about how to change shit in our communities.
I was waiting to see how you were going to go.
Shut up, man.
I was head chorister at Canterbury Cathedral. I have perfect pitch, and that did not pass me by unnoticed either. I was like, we're creeping up by the seminary.
I used to be a choir director. Carry on.
I was like, yep, another half semitone.
You get 2 warnings on this show that I'm loud, so I'm not apologizing for it.
At only 2. Loud, and the pitch go up.
Yeah, you get 2 warnings.
It's important.
Only when there's some shit that these conversations don't get had. And that's kind of the area where it pisses me off, you know.
Let me tell you something that I think you'll find exciting and interesting. I see, if you look at the Brexit, right? Britain voted to leave almost entirely, it's like to stick 2 fingers up at the establishment. The rise of Trump, populism in general on the right and the left, and the emergence of figures in what I call the cultural libertarian movement, the people who are like fiercely pro-free speech and have interesting iconoclastic ideas. People like, or Camille Paglia is making a comeback, Christina Hoff Sommers, me, Gavin McInnes, or whatever. And you are part of this. And I think that space is going to be made in politics very soon for iconoclasts, people who don't necessarily fit the traditional molds on either side of the aisle, either side of the political divide. Trump.
Yay! I get to have a job.
Yes, you could be whatever you want to be, baby, with those abs. Now, I want to impress this on you, Sonnie, because I think that we're entering a period in culture. And of course, as the late founder of the site we both work for used to say, politics is downstream from culture. I think we're entering a period in culture, and therefore, slightly later, a period in politics where iconoclasts are once again welcomed. We're getting back into the era of the William F. Buckleys, the Gore Vidals. We're getting back into the era of where people who can say interesting and different and unpredictable things. That's kind of where you live. And I think there's going to be space in public life for somebody like you in less than a decade if you did choose to do it.
Okay, look, I'm gonna whisper something to you, but you can't tell a motherfucker. If you tell anybody I told you this, I'm going to deny the fuck that I said it. All right?
Sure.
You got me? This just for me and you. You got me?
I got you.
Yo, when I was going to start this podcast, I was getting ready to be Lily White Cracker, right? No cursing, straight, trying to play along.
I can't imagine that from you.
Yes, I've done it for years. I've played along for years. I saw you after I had done an interview with you. So, I think I did the interview with you the first time cold. That was my first time, ever seeing you. After that, I kind of started following you. I said, if this motherfucker can do this shit, look, hey, it is not even funny. When they said it's going to be you and Milo podcast, I said there's no fucking way in hell I'm not going to be just as much as myself. And that's the byproduct of this motherfucking podcast. Because before then, I have played along, and I've played along quite well. And I continue to play along when the time calls for it, because you got to show people. You can't be just niggerish and then think somebody going to give you a job. You got to have some fucking home training. But it doesn't mean you have to change the core of who you are. And that's what I was trying to make self-evident.
Well, if I've been responsible for removing some of your potty training, I'm happy about that, because you're infinitely the better for it. You can shit all over the floor as far as I'm concerned, and I love it.
I have a question, Sonnie. Could you please define Lily White Cracker for us, please?
I know what she means. I know.
I would like to hear her explanation of what that is.
Donald Scroggins.
All right.
Good enough explanation for your ass, Javonni.
All right. Second name drop. All right. Carry on.
No, we gonna go out, come back in, talk about my favorite subject with Milo. Okay, let's see if you've ever heard this one before.
How would you like to get access to exclusive interviews from iconic names like Seth MacFarlane, Bryan Cranston, Kevin Costner, Michael Moore, Seth Rogen, and many others?
Are you kidding?
Then you want to join Podcast One Premium. It's all available on demand right now, exclusively at podcastone.com. Premium members have access to exclusive bonus content from hosts like Adam Carolla, Shaq, Nick Ritchie, and more. They also get to participate in giveaways and members-only community events. And that's not all. You can also blog with us and get your favorite star to answer your questions. Pretty cool, huh? And if you sign up for a 2-year annual, we'll even buy you a $50 dinner. So join Podcast One Premium now at podcastone.com.
Did she say that? She can say whatever she wants. Back once again to Sonnie Johnson.
I told you people, 1 hour is never fucking enough. Back to this, she said that, Sonnie Johnson. Milo is still here. Javonni is still here. We get to talk about my favorite subject. Look, okay, I bring black people on here and can't talk about hip-hop sometimes. So the fact that I'm going to bring Milo in here, we're going to talk about hip-hop. This is funny. Let's go, Milo. Are you a hip-hop head?
Oh yeah, of course.
What's your favorite? What do you get down to? Let's see, it's Friday night. You got a young thing on your arm. What are you listening to?
they say, I raise anyway. No, I don't know. I've been into trap stuff recently. My first love is Lil Wayne, and that's never going to change. Right now I'm kind of a Young Thug, Tiger, And coming back a little bit to Kanye, a little from our previous conversation, he's starting to win me back over again. The last album was the best thing I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, no, I have a wide range of things I listen to, but mostly like dark, sinister shit.
Javonni, did he sound like that vibrant music you be listening to?
Yes, I've been listening to mostly Lil Wayne recently.
Yeah. No, everybody comes back to me. It's like Mariah Carey. You know, you have a year off Mariah, and then suddenly you just rediscover an album from the mid-2000s, and you're like, oh my God, this woman defines my life.
Has this person been trolling me? Because those are like my two favorite artists.
You see that divine providence brought us together. No, I mean, you know, I have a year on Wheezy and a year on Mimi, and I just kind of flip between the two, and you can tell the difference. You can tell which year I'm on from my writing.
I am like literally sitting here awestruck. Like, I don't even know where to take this conversation because I have the instinct in me to take it towards hip hop and capitalism because, you know, that's my favorite area. But I'm like, if I take this left, it would be so much fucking funnier. I'm going to stick on it. One of the things that you talk about, Milo, is the effects of capitalism in America and how it gives blacks, gays, any kind of minorities or subgroups kind of equal footing because it gives us the option to compete. So one of the biggest points that I try to drive home is that is kind of what hip-hop has become. Because when you look at hip-hop overall, you look at the Lil Wayne. But Lil Wayne not only employs other artists, he also has A&R reps. He also has the people that handle his travel. He also has the people that handle his advertising. He also has, you know, people behind the scenes that does his tour, people that does his skateboard line, people that does, you know, the doctors that try to save him when he overdoses on lean. He has a lot of people that, you know, he has to employ as well. So it's not just the rapper himself, it's also the outreach and how that money stretches out. And you see it across every aspect of hip hop. Where in America can you find, like I said, we were talking about that concept earlier. Where else in America can you find it acceptable to want to make money? Like hip hop is the only place right now where that is acceptable. Not only acceptable, but cheered.
This is why I have hope for blacks in America. And I know that sounds a very bleak statement to make, but it does. This situation does look ugly sometimes. This is why I have hope, because while white America and even Hispanic America is wandering down this insane path of punishing success and stigmatizing wealth, that was never America's way. People came from Europe to get away from that. People came, you know, from Europe because people were snobby and snooty in France. People were dismissive and contemptuous in Germany, and people wanted to take you down and bitch about you in England. They came to America to make money because America was somewhere that rewarded and celebrated you for doing well, for achieving stuff, for making money, for looking after your family, for creating an empire around yourself. America was the place you could do that without shame. America was the place that was set up to help you achieve that. And what has happened to America now? We stigmatize, we demonize, we ridicule and demean people for having money. Republican candidates have to pretend they're not as wealthy as they are by doing these preposterous,
God.
Like Mitt Romney driving in and out.
That shit gave me a hernia. Like this shit made me.
That sounds painful.
Flames like literally shot out of my fucking ears and my fucking mouth. I'm like, you are a fucking multi-millionaire and you spend more time telling me about how you suffered in poverty when you were. I don't want to hear about your fucking poverty, bitch.
I think we heard that note we were looking for, Milo.
You know what? As fellow Mariah fans, we always have one little bit of our brain listening out for the whistle register. There's always a little part of our brain.
Okay, fuck it. Y'all want to keep on. Whitney was better than Mariah always.
Oh my
always. Always. So now, I could have kept the shit civil, but if you want to get into that discussion, we can go there.
No. How do we eject this woman from her own podcast?
Only because her husband is sitting next to her, and I know this. Will I not carry this on further? Because I'm a fucking gentleman, okay?
That was the most disgusting heresy I've ever heard. That's horrific.
That was radio terrorism she just did.
That was literally terrorism. Next, you're going to tell me you like Beyonce. Just stop it.
I like Beyonce hustle and grind. I like her grind. I like her grind.
No, I like her swagger, but her music is terrible and her voice is awful.
I give her respect for her grind.
It's bloody awful.
Yeah, no.
Bloody awful.
So might I add, I would like to.
I'd rather listen to K. Michelle than listen to Beyonce. So.
Yes.
Oh God. Even I can't go along with it. I just would like to say that I appreciate Milo's support of the Black community, because over the next 9 months, he might have better prospects for, for the after hour buddies. So, good job.
Did I miss it? Did I miss it? Is that like an inside joke that I not get?
He said that he just accidentally slipped and brought a white guy home. He said that he spent the last 9 months with Black men, and I said that if he continues to support our community, he might have better prospects coming home.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, sweetie, my prospects are pretty good already, but I'm always
look, I know.
It's like I'll go to clubs. You know what? I go to clubs in Washington or whatever, and they ask to look in your bag, and of course I'm like sporting the Louis Vuitton because that's what the boys like, and the guy on the door is like, hey, this guy smoked Newports. Why you got Newports? And I'm like, smoke for the man you want. I've never paid cover. I've never paid cover. That was like this bag of cool. Just like made me straight. Honestly, if someone asks you for a cigarette outside and you have a Newport and you're into the dark skinned guys, it's like 80% of the way to bed. You're there. Anyway, no, I can't deal with. I can't deal with Whitney. Beyonce's an abomination. But Mariah, Whistle Register, we heard it. Anyway, we were talking about something else entirely.
I'm sorry, I picked on Miss Piggy and y'all got mad. I thought y'all had something against fat people. Wasn't y'all against that? I say one little thing about Miss Piggy and y'all get mad.
I feel like I have an eye that's twitching and it's just I'm trying to stop it right now.
You want to hear my favorite Whitney joke? Because we got to get her back for that one. It's my favorite drag queen joke. I heard it in a drag show in England. It's like, do you like my new? There's this drag queen who is famous for being blonde, comes out on stage with a new black wig, and she says, "Do you like my new hairdo? It's called the Whitney, black and dyed in the bath."
Dyed in the bath. Hey, you can go ahead and laugh
it's
at
the
it.
big one.
Because Whitney died like Whitney lived, so I don't have no comment on that. But I still stand by the fucking fact she was better than Mariah.
Oh my goodness. Well, not everyone can have multi-platinum hits, a career spanning 4 decades. Like Whitney couldn't handle it.
Nah, she has some nigga in her. I won't take that away. Her niggerish tendencies took over. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna deny that shit. I ain't gonna run from it. But that ain't gonna change my opinion. It still ain't gonna change my opinion on it.
I'm still being mindful of the man sitting next to her right now.
And yes,
every time I try and say something,
my husband is sitting right here too. So very, very kudos for you on that one, Javonni.
Oh God, no, I've never been so triggered as listening to you.
Okay,
lay it down on Mariah Carey. I need my safe space.
So, oh dear God, see, I don't even know. I told you I was trying to keep it like.
I'm gonna lock myself in a room with emotions and music box, and I'm not coming out for 3 weeks. I'm done.
Okay,
I'm done.
well,
I'm done.
Coloring books or teddy bear? Which one?
If you want me to listen to Mariah, you have to put her on with ODB. Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacify. Rather, if ODB is on it, then I'll listen to it. Other than that, you can keep. Other than that, you can keep Mariah.
You're a bad, hateful person. I can't believe you just Miss Piggy. Oh my God.
I had a vision of love, and it wasn't her.
Just wicked.
Oh, this is a level of evil I've never seen from you. I thought you were a nice person. I thought you were loud.
I never gave up that impression.
Can I just say that regarding capitalism, that one of the reasons why I became a Mariah Carey fan was around 2005 when everyone told her to retire. They told her before at 30. Like, she managed to get up and pick a career up and continue going.
She picked up another husband and kept on going.
Biggest track. Look, Mariah Carey actually.
That was my inspiration at that time period. I felt like I was in a similar career.
She picked up a second husband and kept on going. Now she picked up a third husband. This time, this time is the doozy. This time she gonna get it right.
Oh dear. Oh, as opposed to Whitney living in sin and ending up dead.
Hey, I've already admitted to her niggerish qualities. When you can talk about Mariah's. I've already admitted to that.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to laugh at this. I don't know if I'm allowed.
And that is success, people. When you get Milo questioning whether it's okay to laugh or not. That's what we call success. That's what we call Did She Say That podcast, Breitbart Podcast on Podcast One. Thank you so much for coming in and spending time with me, Milo. I appreciate it, love.
Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
All right, Javonni, I'll see you next week, boo.
They say our reputation needs a new coat of paint and a delicate melody. But I say I like the bruises, 'cause a melody don't mean a thing if we don't have the strength to sing.
Stay tuned for 60-second AP News headlines.
It's summer, and just because you've got plenty of time on your hands doesn't mean your hands are always free. That's why I've been working on my Audible summer listening list. Discover where Audible audiobooks can take you this summer. Download your books or shows to your mobile device and listen anytime, anywhere. With an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, and comedy. Audible is your best source for summer entertainment. Start a 30-day trial and download your first audiobook for free by going to audible.com/podcast1. That's audible.com/podcast1.
AP Update, I'm Rita Foley. 3 suicide bombers killed 41 people at the Istanbul airport in Turkey. Now the investigation begins into who did it and why. Counterterror expert Michael Leiter, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center, says there's not much question this was the Islamic State group.
ISIS has been pushing for attacks during Ramadan, and it's also under some pressure in Syria, which makes it slightly more likely that they will attack on the outside.
He was on the Today Show this morning. Traveler Nick Hansen arrived back in the U.S. on a flight from Turkey just before the attack at the Istanbul airport. Would he travel there again?
If you're constantly living in fear about everything, then that's exactly what they want, right?
He talked to KPRC-TV. The world is reacting to the killings, Pope Francis denouncing what he calls a brutal terrorist attack. I'm Rita Foley.